Let's talk about patriarchy and mothers of boys. One thing that's consistently interesting to me is how people write gender, how it's portrayed in media. How to Ruin Christmas was the gift that keeps on giving on this subject. Let's examine the role of patriarchy in the show, as well as that annoying phenomenon popularly known as mothers of boys. First, a quote from The Matrix.
It is all around us, even now in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
What truth?
That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind.
Women compete. Misogyny is the real matrix. We are fish, and it's the water we swim in every moment of every day. When things explode with Tumi after everyone finds out she tried to pass off the hotel towels as the gift towels, Beauty runs off to Sboo's room. On the way there, she bumps into Sboo's mother, Valencia. Valencia does that thing mothers-in-law do of trying to assert her authority and superiority over the woman marrying her son. In this case, Beauty. For some reason, the way patriarchal society is structured, men are this valuable, exhaustible resource that women are constantly fighting over. So you fight other women for the scarce resource that is marriageable men, and then once you're married, if you're fortunate to have sons, you're immediately promoted to a rank above other women who have pathetically only managed to expel females from their wombs. Once these sons become of marriageable age, you have to fight to make sure the women they marry don't steal them away from you or whatever. So that's what Valencia's doing here. She's protecting her prized male offspring, Sboo. She's making sure Beauty always remembers her place and knows that she's the poor girl Sboo had pity on, chose to marry, and in that one act, elevated her to the big leagues. But it doesn't matter that she's soon to be inducted into the big leagues. Valencia will always be the top dog. Gold diggers. So Valencia belittles her, calls her a gold digger, then closes with, "Go to bed, Beauty. You don't want those dark circles around your eyes tomorrow in your pictures, right? You look ugly." In patriarchal society, most of the wealth is held by men. Until very recently, marriage was a purely economic decision. Women married men who could provide for them and their potential offspring. People marry for love now, but there's still an element of economics. Millennials and Gen Z are getting married later in life because of many reasons, including the fact that they can barely afford to sustain their own lives, so the idea of adding another person to it is increasingly difficult. So smart women in the past and in the present select rich men who they can actually afford to build a life and family with. For people to insist on shaming women for being smart about their future and that of their potential offspring is dumbfounding. Yet the same people participate in pylons of poor people with kids asking questions like, why have children if you can't afford them? Why have children with a man who can't support them? What exactly do you want from women? Do you want women to choose financially stable men who can care for their children or not? Seems to me you just hate women, and it doesn't matter what choice a woman makes, it would be the wrong one. The irony of this coming from Valencia is glaring. Minister Twala, as far as we know, is the only one who brings money home. Isn't Valencia then the very gold digger she's shaming Beauty for allegedly being? It's such an interesting form of self-hate and an interesting manifestation of the way capitalism and patriarchy works. You want to be the only one benefiting from something. Anyone else enjoying the benefits you do feels to you like you're losing something. So, you're a gold digger who hates gold diggers while enjoying the lifestyle it affords you and working full-time as a gatekeeper to prevent others from enjoying a similar lifestyle. Then she tells Beauty to go to sleep because if she has eye bags tomorrow at her wedding, she'll, quote, look ugly. For women committed to upholding the patriarchy, there's nothing worse than a woman not being attractive to men. A woman is her appearance, her beauty, and nothing more. If you don't have that, you don't have anything. And it's so fucking sad that Beauty is just that. Beautiful. We know nothing else about her, at least nothing that sticks. She's beautiful. Beautiful enough to have captured the attention of a rich man. She has one of the key things patriarchal society demands of and values in women, and she's just an empty shell for it. Couple this with the fact that her beauty comes in large part from her light skin in a society that values black women to the extent that they approximate white supremacist markers of beauty. You're beautiful if you're slim and light-skinned and able-bodied, just playing whatever games, meeting whatever requirements your oppressor sets. So damn sad to be beauty. Men bring order and structure. Women bring chaos and distraction. When it turns out that Tumi slept with married man Temba, who is an addict, the moms, Valencia and Dineo, get into it. Dineo tries to show Valencia how she's not better than them, exhibit A being she has raised a drunkard son. In response, Valencia tells Dineo, quote, Beauty, that gold-digging daughter, will not get her hands on my sbusiso. On one side, gold-digging daughter, and on top of that, the other one is sleeping with married men. No structure, no leadership. There are no real men in this family. No order. End quote. So, Dineo's family, according to Valencia, is fucked up because there's no men. Men apparently bring order and structure, leadership, and by extension, value. They make a family good, worthy. Without men to set things straight, women just fuck things up and raise fucked up kids. The level of internalized misogyny it takes to declare such things is astounding. Equally astounding is how Valencia holds these views when she's the one who runs her family. There's a man, but she runs that town. I don't know, I guess a man just being there, even if he isn't the one providing all the leadership and direction, just changes things. Men are special, magical creatures in that way. Get you one while stocks last. There's this hilarious scene where Dineo's brother, Shadrach, Beauty's uncle, goes to talk to Valencia and Minister Twala after Valencia calls off the wedding because of Tumi sleeping with Temba. The uncle starts by saying, ours is not to judge Temba, but to forgive him. You know when you're young, hormonal, strong, virile. Then the minister interrupts him and says they get where he's going. Uncle Shadrach goes on, he says, you would know, minister, it's the beast that needs to be tamed. Voss is just there looking awkward and guilty. Valencia jumps in asking, what about Tumi? Uncle Shadrach replies, let the first stone without sin amongst us throw the first stone. Valencia says, Galela, listen here, this is not Temba's fault. Uncle Shadrach says, he is also the only one who's married between them, and again, we are not judging. Valencia says, I won't be disrespected like this. Uncle Shadrach protests and says, there's no disrespect. I come in peace. Then after a prolonged tense silence, when it appears Valencia is still too upset to negotiate with, he turns to Vosi Twala and says, maybe you and I should talk, man to man. Valencia is so pissed. She stands up and her whole vibe makes her husband, who'd seen nothing wrong with Uncle Shadrach's statement, stand up and also pretend to want Uncle Shadrach to leave. Clearly, Valencia refuses to stand for sexism being visited on her, but will deliberately wield it against other women. Once again, she's the one calling the shots here, yet insists on spouting off nonsense about men providing leadership. This idea that women fuck shit up and men set them right is everywhere in our society. It starts from page 1 of the Bible with its assertion that sin and death entered the world because of women. It continues everywhere. Oh, the children are fucked up. It must be single mothers or absent fathers. Either way, women's presence either fucks things up or is not enough to provide order and structure. Stop me if you've heard this one. Boys being gay, which is the worst thing ever, is a consequence of them spending too much time with their mothers. It's over 25, a creative girl group in Kenya breaking up, and people saying women's shit eventually always ends up messed up. When Salty Soul, a boy band in Kenya, broke up weeks later, nobody attributed it to men always messing shit up. In fact, one of the queer members of the band was blamed for the breakup. Misogyny and homophobia. Awesome buddies. Everything wrong is women's fault, and things apparently only begin to go right when men are reintroduced into the picture. What bullshit. Back to present fights. Useless women. Valencia, it appears, isn't done dressing down Dineo for daring to challenge her. She says, that's why your man ran away from you. He left you. He saw that you were good for nothing. You are crazy. The worst things a woman can be called, aside from ugly in patriarchal land, is crazy and good for nothing in the eyes of a man. Let's start with crazy. Calling women crazy is one of the most effective tools in the patriarchy toolbox. It serves to shut down all further conversation and is something abusive men continue to say to women when gaslighting them. You're crazy. It's something that thoroughly discredits you in every way that counts. It's the most effective way of dismissing someone. It's what they said to housewives who are losing their minds from being confined to the home with no freedom, no rights, no agency. The problem with no name. Crazy. It's what medicine and all its sexist underfunding of research into women's problems has called women suffering from chronic pain. Crazy. So Valencia dismisses Dineo as crazy. Then Valencia does that thing where you're insulted and put down and revealed to be lesser because you don't have a man. I mean, if men don't see your value, you ain't worth shit. Men are the arbiters of value. If they don't want you, you don't have any value. You're good for nothing. And this is not even value in the strictest sense of the word. Just if they don't see any use for you, any reason, however small, for keeping you around, you ain't worth shit. No one says it this directly, but it's understood by everyone. That's why there's little that's as shameful as being an unmarried woman of a certain age. If men don't even want to use you the way they use, abuse, and dispose of other women, there must be something really wrong with you. I mean, men will do it with anything. Anything. If none of them wants to take you and use you even for the most basic physical purposes, you must be really fucked up. So now, even though we don't know why the relationship between Dineo and her husband ended, it's still a shameful stain on her. We don't even know if he was a serial cheater or an abusive man and she courageously left him to raise her children alone, rescuing them from a terrible situation. We don't know, yet the judgment remains. A man ran away from her. She ain't worth shit. Deadbeat dads. To me, even though she doesn't get why Beauty feels the need to do it, accompanies Beauty to see their father. Beauty asks, begs her father to come to her wedding. He refuses, saying, quote, there's a new government here, and leaves it at that. Toomey gets pissed. She tells him there's no return to sender when it comes to kids. You can't just say fuck them kids because you're with some new chick. She says, quote, Edmund, there's no return policy on kids. There's no back to sender. You know, you are so selfish. You're actually full of shit. Yeah, you can't do one thing, one small thing for your children, the ones you left. I love that she tears into him. I love it even more that she's a girl tearing her father a new one. She calls him Edmund. Just take a moment to think about how deliciously disrespectful that is. When he tries to stop her from shouting, she asks, What? Your new family is going to find out that you're a deadbeat. I cannot emphasize how much I love how ungovernable this character is. She is the best kind of crazy you ever saw, and I love to see it. Then he hits her with it. Toomey says, your new family is going to find out that you abandoned 2 kids. Edmund replies with the damning 1. When he sees her surprise, the deadbeat that he is takes that opportunity to hurt Toomey. He calls her the nailed stray dog that I took in. He adds, I am not your father. When Toomey calls him a liar, he says, quote, your mother's the one who's a liar. I found that whore with a child already. Then he turns end quote. Then he turns to Beauty, the daughter who actually cares about him, maybe even loves him, and says, "You see this one? Maybe she could be my child. But with Dineo being a whore who loves men, I'm not sure whose child she is," end quote. Then he kicks them off his property. This man was married to their mother and lived with them at least for a while, raising them as a parenting adult in their life. And he has zero difficulties calling Tumi Dineo's stray dog. He calls their mother a whore multiple times. One of the reasons she's apparently a whore is she had a child before she was married. That's what makes a woman a whore. I swear single women with children must have to deal with the dredges of men, which is difficult to wrap your head around given that men already are trash. Like, what are these women having to deal with? Not too long ago, someone shared a story on Twitter. This woman was being branded as the dumbest of all the dumb women because when her fiancé gave her an ultimatum asking her to cut off all contact with her child's father after their wedding, she said no. She said her child's father is a good man, a good father, and he is her child's father, so for her child's sake, she was not going to cut him off. The insults that flew her way about how short-sighted she was and how maintaining contact with her child's father was just a cover so she could be unfaithful with him were endless. Single women with children, it turns out, need to sacrifice everything in order to bag the man. Get that ring, even if it means compromising their children's well-being. They're supposed to say, fuck them kids, because marriage is everything. Marriage is life. What is an unmarried woman? Nothing. What is an unmarried woman with children? Less than nothing. Every time I think about that man calling Tumi Dineo's stray dog, I wonder if these are ideas he has recently acquired after ending things with Dineo. And I just can't convince myself that that is the case. That man had always been like that. He may have pretended and hidden the full extent of it, but he had to have always been like that. Women always compromise when it comes to men. We are programmed and socialized to ignore all the glaring signs of sexism, patriarchy, and misogyny. We reason them away. I think single women who are constantly told that they have more baggage and are less desirable to men on account of having children are forced to compromise even more. That visual representation of men as trash Edmund didn't just start thinking that way. He always did. Dineo just ignored it or chose not to see it or rationalize things away. Either way, that's the man he always was when she let him into her heart, her home, gave him access to her children. And that's chilling. Not like other women. The wedding is called off by Valencia after The wedding is called off by Valencia after the Tumi Tamba sex thing comes out and Valencia insults Dineo. Then the most interesting thing happens. The minister finally speaks to his family. This nigger is so hilarious. This is how he starts. The decimation of this family into complete pandemonium is to be halted right now with immediate effect. This is not a request, it is a point of order, and I insist on this point of order. He then announces that the wedding is back on, and when Valencia protests, he says, Valencia, you either get on board or go home. Meanwhile, the minister's mother is standing by a window smoking a pipe, all proud looking, now that her son is finally taking charge, and more importantly, putting his wife in her place. There's nothing patriarchy loves as much as a woman being put in her place. When he's done speaking, his mother says, That's my boy. indicating her pride in his taking charge and speaking authoritatively instead of letting his wife run the show. A continuation of the idea that men bring leadership and order and women chaos and distraction. Then before walking out, Minister Twala tells his mother, "You too, Mom." She's surprised by that. He's throwing his weight around with her too. I guess she assumed he would just read everyone else in Valencia the riot act, not her. It's so ridiculous how some women imagine themselves safe and apart from whatever's visited on other women. It's sort of how white women and hot women everywhere see themselves as separate from other women, exempted, free from the oppressions other women face. During slavery times, white women were pretty much all the women. Black women were basically black men light or something like that. Whatever horrible things were happening to black slave women, white women were sheltered from. They had to believe that they were somehow safe from misogyny and patriarchy. But Martin was right. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. As long as white men believe they can use black women as they please, it's only a matter of time before they extend the same treatment to white women. If one woman can be raped, all women can. If one woman can be disrespected, all of us can and shortly will. As long as we're all not safe, none of us is. No one is safe. No one is exempt. Valencia, Gogo Twala, and other mothers of boys everywhere are to me the worst kind of women. They're women with such internalized self-hate that their entire identity is wrapped around the fact that they gave birth to the prized gender, men. Mothers of boys types imagine themselves to be above other women. It's the reason that repulsive phrase, mothers of boys, exists and mothers of girls doesn't. And if it does, not in the same way. They think because they expelled only sons from their loins, they're somehow better, except babes. As long as women are treated as second-class citizens, that boot on our necks will soon find its way up your esteemed mothers of boys' neck too. That patriarchy you prop up will soon put you in your place like it does everyone else. Exhibit A, Gogo Twala. Misogyny is the real matrix. We are fish, and it's the water we swim in every moment of every day. We all have these internalized beliefs and have to stay vigilant and on the lookout for them. We have to weed them out and resist the hypocrisy of believing we can eat our cake and have it, like Valencia simultaneously propping up ideas of men being in charge while rejecting them in her own life. As Brother Martin reminds us, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Stay woke. As always, thanks for stopping by. Until next time, remember who you are, love life, love people, and stay limited. Bye.